Hi, I just finished recording this week's Crochet The Beginning for the part 2 of the Granny Shopping Bag Crochet-A-Long. We are starting this square this week. Very pretty, in my honest opinion. I am breaking this square down into 2 parts. We did the center part and this second round, and next week we will work on rounds 3 and 4. Okay, I felt since this does use some different stitches than what we have used before, I wanted to make sure that we had enough time to go over them and that you would not feel like I was just abandoning you. So I will have, by the time this comes up, it'll be up on the website. You can download it or you can read it off the computer, off the website. I will have all the links below, the whole entire works. I apologize for my looks. Work was not easy this week. I do apologize because I usually try to have my nails done and actually look like I've slept, and it's been a week. So come with me. Let's see where we start with this, okay? Thank you. Hi, everybody. This is Heather again. I hope you've all had a wonderful week. Mine was very, very busy, and I was just a little bit afraid that I wasn't going to get this done this week, but I managed to do it. This week, we are going to work on the middle square, or the AKA the fancy square. This one right here. Okay. I hope you have been working on your plain ones. And again, remember, I do not expect you to have all of these done today, this week. Okay. This is the joy of crochet-along videos. They are there no matter what. So it doesn't matter if you pick this up this week, if you do it in 3 weeks' time. It's up to you. I will always be available to help at the emails and the links listed below. Okay. So this week we are going to do this square right here. And I personally have called it the Cluster Dreams square just because it seems to me, it just seems like it's a cluster of dreams. And if you hear some purring, Onyx is trying to help. I don't know if the camera will show her very well, but this is the little minx that we did when I first started the videos and told you that we found the little kitty cat. No. See, this is Onyx. She's gotten to be quite the big girl, if you can't tell. And she is most assuredly very spoiled, if you can't tell. And yes, she adores tummy rubs, if you can't tell that one either. But okay, Miss Onyx, go sleep a toast. So this is the square we're doing today. Apparently Onyx has decided it's attention time, not video time. So you're probably going to see me lifting my arm and stopping her from walking on my desk, aka like she's just doing. No, don't take my cover. Onyx. No. We'll pile up some stuff right here. Maybe she won't think that it is a eager way to do it. Apparently, no, she stalks both. Onyx, don't make me get the cat dogs involved. Thank you, Ember. So, this is what mine looks like. Okay, I haven't weaved my ends in or anything. She's wanting to watch TV up on my monitor, and I'm really not wanting to let her do it. Okay, so as you can see, this one starts out with a circle, and then it has some new and interesting stitches and stitch styles that we have not gone over. So I thought we would start with this one this week, and I thought that I would go over the first and the second round with you, and then we'll work on the third and the fourth line rows next week, because I honestly don't know, this square takes me longer to make than either one of these. Okay, oh, that's backwards. Okay, so there is a few more stitches. This one is still a beginner stitch, but it might be a little more of a uh not so much beginner intermediate, but kind of like a beginner intermediate, but it's nothing. These these gray ones and this orange ones right here, these are what's called cluster stitches, or that's at least what I call them. And I give you step-by-step instructions on how to do them in the pattern, which of course will be linked down below and on my website. I'm not about to just drop this in your lap and expect you to pick it up. I give you step-by-step instructions on how to do this. I promise. It'll be okay. We can do this. So I thought we would start with these two rounds this week. The next week we'll work with rounds 3 and 4, because 4 also has, excuse me, 4 round 4 also has a not so much new stitch, but it has one that we haven't actually worked with in a project yet. But if you notice the construction of this stitch, your first 3 rounds are completely circles. They're not a square, but yet when you do the 4th row, it turns it into a square. I wanted a different square within this bag to help show you that just because something starts out as a circle and you don't start out with 4 or 6 or 8 or however many points as you need, I wanted to show you that this still can make a square. Okay? And I will explain how we turn it into a square when we work on round 4. Okay? So, now, when it comes to color choices, you can choose to do it like I did here. And as we go through this video, I will explain how I did it and only have 3 tails to weave in. Okay? I did what is called weaving as you go. This is the start of my gray tail, which I don't need to weave in. I need to do is just snip that right there and it's done. I already have weaved it all in. I do not weave as I go on magic circles because I want to make sure this is super, super tight. So that way it doesn't come loose or anything. So I always leave this tail unwoven in and then pull it tight before I weave it in and then snip it. Okay. So I'm sorry if you heard that. JR is not coming home yet. The last flight hasn't even arrived yet. So these also are the same size and they have the same number of stitches. So my suggestion is, if you want to make it like mine, you can make just like the granny squares, just like these. You can make this as many colors as you want. She's trying, guys. She's really trying. No, we don't play with my squares. They are not toys. I've made you toys. You can make this out of any color that's in your granny square bag or that you're going to put into the granny square. since I'm making mine with 2 colors, then I decided to do my middle special square. I call it a special square because it's different than the others. I chose to do it in my 2 colors. You can make this in one color. You can make every single round in a different color. This is all up to you. I have no say in that matter. Okay? So, shall we get started? Okay. I'm going to set these aside. We're probably going to have a cat a couple more times. So here's my gray yarn. I'm going to set this up here so I can look at it. And here's my orange yarn. Okay. Now, if you look at my other special square here that I did on this bag, I started this one with pink, gray, pink, gray. If you turn it over, and you will need 2 of these, so you can do this. If you notice, the other one was made the exact same way. Oops. I did not realize that was a creative error on my part. I was supposed to make this one gray, pink, gray, pink. That was my error that I just now caught. Okay, so moving on. Okay, so since I started this one with orange, my dog is scratching. And I swear to God, he doesn't have fleas. Wouldn't surprise you though. I've got a mama and a baby skunk outside, so it wouldn't surprise me one bit if he doesn't have it. So since I started this one in orange, I'm going to start my next one in gray. Okay. So on your paper pattern that you can print out or use on here, let's go over this real quick. It's called the Cluster Dream Square. It's part of the Granny's Shopping Crochet-A-Long Week 2. Okay, you'll need the same yarn as you had before. Okay. The thing that has changed is I have added 2 stitches down here. Okay, I have added a triple crochet and a half double crochet. Again, we went through that when we were doing the very beginning of the squares. I think it was Crochet the Beginning part 2 or 3, I believe. I will try to leave the link down below as to which one it was. So this right over here, of course, is just the information where I got my idea for this bag and things like that. So this all is the pattern right here. Now, here is another special little section that you will find in a lot of crochet patterns that uses different stitches. Okay. As you can see, this says right up here, special stitches. That tells you that, oh, so somewhere in this pattern up here, I'm going to have to know how to do this. So you're going to have to know how to do a half cluster stitch and a cluster stitch. Again, like I said, I have this read out step by step, so you don't have to worry about it. And plus, I will be going over it with you in class here. So let's get started. I'm going to set that up there because this one I actually do need to have the pattern. Okay, as I said, I'm going to start this one in gray because I have started the others I started the other one in the pink, in orange. I'm sorry, not pink, in the orange. I thought I had everything out of my way, but apparently I did not. So I'm going to set my tablet right over here so that I can read this. And you can go ahead and look on. I hope you have already downloaded the pattern below, so that way you have it. Apparently, Onyx is not going to sleep through this video session, and she is going to assist me with my yarn. AKA she's not going to assist at all and just get everything all tangled up for me. So, okay, it says make a magic circle. Okay, so we know how to do this. And Dexter, do you have to do that right now? This is another kicker of the problem of recording upstairs. The floors are never as good and solid as the ones downstairs. Plus, I have a concrete floor down below. Okay, so make your half circle, your magic circle. Remember, your magic circle being made is done after you chain that one, because that chain one locks that circle. Okay. Then it says to chain 2, 1, 2. That counts as your first double crochet right there. Okay. That is your first double crochet. Now it sits here and tells me to make 15 double crochet inside the magic circle and then join with a slip stitch to the top of the beginning chain. Okay, so that is fairly self-explanatory. So let's just go ahead and do that. And yes, I do realize that I could save a lot of time if I would, pause my recordings and do that section and then come back. But I will be perfectly honest with you. The reason I do not is just because I want you to see every single step that we are doing. And I may do that down the road once, I get the feeling or I feel that we have gone far enough that you don't really need me to sit here and go over every little piece with you. Onyx is playing with the orange end of the yarn, and her nails are going through my jeans. So it's quite a fun experience. So let's see how many I have right now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Remember, don't let this tail end disappear. If you start running, if it starts disappearing on you, pull it a little bit and make that hole a little shorter, little smaller, because you don't want to lose this piece. Okay. I believe I was on 12, 13, 14, and 15. Now I'm going to go over something again real quick with you, so you don't have to repeat the same mistakes that I have. Anytime you are doing something that requires you to count, trust me when I tell you this, always, always count twice. Don't skip that step, okay? You don't want to skip it, I promise. So we're going to count, okay? So this is our chain right here. Then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Now is the time to determine whether or not you have enough double crochets here. Even though crochet is easy to frog out or rip out, you still don't want to do it. Okay? Nothing drives me battier than to find out that my base on my design is completely wrong. Okay, so like always, now pull that thing tight, pull that loop, the end of the tail here, tight. where you have barely a hole. Okay, now remember it says to join with a slip stitch to the top of the beginning chain. Okay, now here's where the fun starts. If you are doing this in all one color, you do that, okay? No issues. If you are going to change colors like I did here, this is how you do it. You drop this one. Just leave it sitting down there. You tuck it under your fingers if that's helpful. Take your next color, make a loop, just like that, okay? Leave a long enough tail on it. See, this is the end of the yarn. Leave long enough tail on it that you can weave in, okay? Now grab that loop with, sorry, I missed a step. Then what you do is you take your hook, go into the stitch that you are joining this last one to. This last loop on your hook right here, the one that is connected to this yarn back here, is going to get a loosey-goosey. Don't worry about it. It is easily fixed, okay? So grab that loop and pull it up and pull it through, okay? So it should look like that, okay? Now, tighten up the gray one. I usually just drop them and ignore them because I can always tighten this up and the next time I change the color, okay? So now, right now, you've got 2 loops coming out of the back of your work here, okay? What I do is I hold the end of the yarn of my color change around, go ahead and set up my working yarn with the new color. Okay, so now we are ready to start round 2. And if you notice here, there's no color change showing. I did one on accident right here. So you see that little bit of orange right there? There's not going to be, you might have just a teeny tiny bit, but there's not going to be much. Okay, very, very little. Barely noticeable, I promise. So then then we're ready for round 2 now. So the next section goes chain 2, work a half cluster, chain 1. So to work, so chain 2, 1, 2, okay. This yarn is still sitting here. It's free as a bird. And the gray working yarn is also just sitting back here. It's just hanging out. Nothing major. So to work a half cluster stitch, you wrap your hook once, just like you were going to do a double crochet, but we are not doing a double crochet. Insert the hook into the same stitch that you just did your chain 2. So it's going to be the same stitch right here. Now, I want you to look at something. I'm going to move my working yarn out of the way. This is the end of the orange yarn that I just attached to this project. If you notice, when I put my hook through the loops, I made sure this yarn is sitting on top of it, okay? That way, when I sit here and grab the working yarn of the orange and pull it through, I have basically wrapped around this stitch, this yarn right here, okay? This is what I mean by weaving in your ends, okay? That is all that is. You just, as you go around, you just make sure that this end yarn is on the top of your crochet hook. So that way, when you pull your hook through with the working yarn, it goes around the stitch and it will wind up completely disappearing into the work. If you look here, this is what my orange yarn is here. I tend to wrap that around under this entire round of stitches. Do you have to? No, I do. And then I'm going to make sure it's tight and taut, not too tight, but taut, and then I will snip it here. the chances of that sucker unraveling and going through that whole entire circle is basically slim to none. Okay, so that's all you do for that. Okay, now to continue with the half cluster stitch, I'm going to start over here. So we've chained 2, we're ready to do a half cluster. So to do that, wrap your yarn around once, stick it into the same stitch, pull up a loop. You should have 3 loops on your hook. 1, 2, 3. Grab your yarn and pull through 2 loops. You should have 2 loops still on your hook right now. Okay? Yarn over, back into the same stitch, grab the yarn and pull up. You should have 4 stitches on your loop. Okay? Pull through 2 more stitches, 2 more loops, 2 more loops. And now you should have 3 loops on your hook. Yarn over and pull through all 3. That is a half cluster stitch you just made. Okay? So then the pattern reads, work half cluster stitch, chain 1 in the same double crochet as the chain 2. Okay? So as the same as your beginning stitch right here. Okay? Now, the pattern goes ahead to read, in each double crochet around, work a cluster stitch, chain 1. Okay? So, the cluster stitch, we've done the half cluster stitch. You only have to make 2 of them in the entire square. Okay? So let's go over how to make a cluster stitch. Okay? So, this is how I normally hold my end yarn when I'm going over it. I hold it like this, so that way it is right where I need it to be as I go around. Okay, so to work a cluster stitch, you wrap your hook once, insert your hook into the stitch, grab the loop, pull it up. You should have 3 loops on your hook. Okay, grab the yarn and pull through 2 loops, and then repeat that step one more time. Wrap the yarn 2 more times. Wrap the yarn around the hook, back into the same stitch that you just went into. Grab the yarn, pull it up, grab the yarn and pull through 2 stitches. You should now have 3 loops on your hook. Okay, one more time. Wrap the yarn around, go into the next stitch, grab the yarn, pull up, go through 2 loops. My cat daughter is trying to help. You should now have 4 loops on your hook. Okay? 4 loops. Now grab that yarn and pull it through all 4 loops. That is just a cluster stitch right there. If you look, it looks almost exactly the same as the half cluster stitch. Okay? Now, remember it said to work a cluster stitch, chain 1. So now we chain 1 here. Okay? And now in the next stitch, we do the same cluster stitch all over again. So wrap the yarn once, stick the hook in the next stitch, pull loop up, go through 2 loops, yarn over the hook, back into the same stitch, pull a loop up, pull through 2 loops. You should have 3 loops on your hook. Yarn over, back into the same stitch, pull loop up, pull through 2 loops. Should have 4 loops on your hook. And then pull through all 4 loops and chain 1. Okay? Now we have 3. Okay? See? Let's do it again. Into the next stitch, wrap your yarn around your hook once, into the next stitch, pull up a loop, pull through, grab the yarn and pull through 2 loops, wrap the yarn around the hook, get the yarn away from the cat, which apparently this time is proving to be a little difficult. Maybe we'll just move the hook yarn down between my feet. She hates it when I do that. Okay. Okay. So I've done one. Yarn over the hook into the same stitch, pull up a loop, grab the yarn, pull through 2 loops. You should have 3 stitches on your hook. Okay. Yarn over, back into the same stitch, pull up a loop, grab the yarn, pull through 2, and then pull through all 4 loops on your hook. Okay. Just keep repeating that all the way around to where you get to the next side. If you are changing colors, remember to keep a hold of that end yarn so that way when you go in, that yarn always sits on top of the crochet hook. Okay? I hope you have been enjoying the Craft with Me series that I'm doing. I'm doing that to part of the thing that I work nights, as you know. Well, part of the issue, which means that a lot of times I am sleeping during the day, which means I don't have time to go and join a craft group. I used to have an amazing craft group that we'd met every Thursday in Crane, a city close to me. I love those ladies. But I moved to be with my husband. I wasn't married at the time we had it, but I moved out of town, and now there's just no good time to do it. So so I decided that, okay, what about a series of videos where either I am talking or just listening to some music, and I basically just craft. I don't do anything else. I just work on my crocheting or I work on my knitting. I just do something like that. I hope you're enjoying them. If you're not, let me know. That'll be one less video I need to make. But I'm trying to keep those all about the same as this, about 30 minutes long. I know my videos here take a lot longer. I almost messed up there and made a double. But I do try to keep these within reason. Okay, I am actually going to pause and finish my section because I'm already at 31 minutes and I really don't want to make this a 45-minute session. So give me just 1 second and I will be right back. Okay, so I got it done. Now, if you notice here, your thing is curling. Okay. Oh, sorry. If you notice, your thing is curling. That's okay. Find a table, press it flat. Bam. Circle. Okay. So I am back at the beginning. Okay. And this is as far as I want to go with you tonight. I want you to go ahead. If you're going to change colors, this is only if you are changing colors. Okay. Chain the 1 and join with a slip stitch to the top of that beginning chain. Okay. Okay. And that is where we're going to leave it for this week. We will pick it up again next week and do rounds 3 and 4. When we get done, it will look like this. It will have one that will look like this, although with your colors and all that. I know I said it wasn't going to do the whole pausing and then finishing it and then coming back. My issue was it was already 31 minutes. We had done over half of them together. If you have any issues with making this cluster stitch, because you should have 16 cluster stitches, counting that beginning half cluster, okay? So there should be 16 cluster stitches around this, okay? If you don't have 16, check your count. check, make sure you have 15 of these double crochets down here. Okay. There should be 16 total down here if you count your beginning chain 2. Okay. There's 16 cluster stitches here. Okay. So have a wonderful week. Crochet your hearts out. Enjoy it, please. That is the whole point of doing handcrafts like this, is to enjoy the work. If you are not having fun with it, if you are not enjoying it, then you might want to look at a different hobby. But that is my opinion. I enjoy every single thing I knit and crochet. Okay. I will be perfectly honest. Yes, I do most of the time prefer knitting, but I do enjoy crochet also. So have a wonderful week, and I will see you next week with rounds 3 and 4. Thank you for joining.